Four doors are getting hotter and sportier by the day, and that's a good thing because everyone's jumping onto that SUV bandwagon. They got to make these things look good. So what are they doing? Well, a lot of them are making a sport hatch. They're taking a four-door, making it into a hatchback, so you get the best of all worlds. You get sport, you get utility, and you get four doors. Kind of like the BMW 4 Series Grand Coupe, the Audi A5 or A7, or the Porsche Panamera. This is the Kia Stinger. It's Kia's first entry into that market. It's hard to describe the size of the Stinger. Let's just say it's bigger than a BMW 4 Series or Audi A5, but it's smaller than a Porsche Panamera or an Audi A7, so it really is an in-betweener. One thing for sure, this thing is heavily styled and it is a looker. It's going to be the type of car when you first start seeing them on the road that you're really going to notice it. We were stopped so many times today from people walking, riding bikes, or stopping their car on the side of the road asking what kind of car it is. Some thought it was an Alfa Romeo, a Maserati, an Audi, but one thing they had in common, none of them could believe this was a Kia. The front end is long, just like a Gran Turismo. You have a prominent tiger nose grille, standard LED headlamps, and just beautiful curves all around. Like I said, this thing is heavily styled, including the side vents. That's one little thing that I'm not a big fan of. You see, these vents do work in cooling off those brakes and bringing that hot air out, but it's just the color. That black chrome just really stands out, and I'm sure the stylist wanted to do that, but I think it's just a little too much. Personally, I would just like to see it color-coded, match the same color of the car. On the hood, you have two vents. Unfortunately, those are just cosmetic, and on the back, you get standard LED tail lamps, as well as the quad exhaust. Now, this is where I think some people think it looks a little bit like a Maserati, and I can see that myself. The rear hatch is powered and it's a smart hatch. If you stand close to the back, it'll automatically open after 3 seconds. So what is it like inside the Stinger? Well, it actually has a kind of a retro modern type of look. You look at these three vents in the dash here, they're kind of retro looking. Above, you either get a 7 or an 8-inch display. This is the GT Limited, so it gets an 8-inch display. It also gets a 720 watt 15 speaker system. If you go for the non-limited, you still get a 9-speaker system. They're both Harman Kardon systems and they sound great. One thing I really like about this display system, it's very crisp, the graphics are great, and in the navigation, you get the turn-by-turn in the graphics on the side as well as the audio. Here's one thing that's new, and I think it's kind of neat. The key fob, it's like a pistol grip. Instead of having the buttons on the face of it, they're on the side, and the lock button is on the top. So even if it's in your pocket, it's easy to feel what button that is, so that's kind of cool. This Limited also gets a heads-up display. It has memory seats, but instead of just memorizing just your seat position and mirror position, it does the heads-up display, it does your cluster display, all customized to that driver, which is a big bonus if you have multiple people driving the car. The Limited gets heated and cooled seats, as well as heated seats in the back, and a heated power tilt and telescopic steering wheel. All in all, a very well executed interior. In the back, there is ample legroom. Headroom could be a little bit limiting for taller people. I'm almost 5'11". My head's not touching, but it's fairly close. All right, so we are in the Stinger now. Oh, listen to that. Under the hood, 3.3 liter direct injected twin turbo V6 puts out 365 horsepower and 376 pound-feet of torque. And that's matched to an 8-speed automatic transmission. This is not the first time we've seen this engine though. It's the same engine they use in the Genesis, their flagship G90 and the G80 Sport that we just recently tested. And on both those cars, I felt it was a very solid performer. Now, when you put that engine into this package, which is a little bit lighter, it becomes a whole different animal. Now we're on the famous Angeles Crest Highway. Really twisty, lots of turns, beautiful vistas, that's for sure. This is what the car is made for, it seems. So we're carving some canyons. The GT all-wheel drive comes with adaptive suspension, so it really tries to keep the car as flat as possible. You mix that with torque vectoring and the all-wheel drive system, and it gives you a real sense of confidence when you're going into these corners. And brake-wise, lots of brake there, 13.8-inch rotors with quad piston Brembo brakes up front, 13.4-inch in the back, and those are in behind those 19-inch wheels. Let's talk about the rubber even. On here are Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires. Those are the same tires that are used on some Porsche and Ferrari models even. So that's pretty good company. Another thing that makes this vehicle so dynamic to drive is, just give me 1 second, I really want to enjoy this corner. Oh man, seriously, this is a lot of fun to drive. Holy smokes. Is the all-wheel drive system. It's a mainly rear bias system, and of course you can get up to like 50% of the power to the front wheels. Let's say if you really need the traction in inclement weather, maybe some snow or slippery conditions. But if you have it in sport or custom mode, it limits the power to the front to 20%, meaning 80% power in the back, 20 max in the front, and that really gives the car a lot of dynamics. Now, one thing I really need to stress though, you know, people are going to be comparing this to all different cars. It's kind of in a class of its own, but you know what? It is not a sports car. You can't think of it as a sports car. This is a GT or Grand Tour or Gran Turismo. So it's not all about just how fast you can get to your destination, it's how you get there. And with this, you get there with a lot of confidence, a lot of fun, but you do it in style. This car also is no slouch. 0 to 60 in just under 5 seconds actually. And they've done a really good job with this Stinger. I gotta tell you, thoroughly impressed, and I'm sure anyone that gets in this car is gonna be just as impressed. What's it cost? This is the good part. The all-wheel drive GT starts at $44,195, and the top of the line with all the bells and whistles that we're driving right now is only $49,995. So that is under $50,000 Canadian. Now that is a ton of value for what you get. All right, let's see what this does if we really push it. All right, so the manual shifting mode with this 8-speed automatic, it's not the quickest. But remember, this is a grand touring car. There's nothing like pushing a car closer and closer to its limits to really feel what kind of connection you can get with it. Even in sport mode, the adaptive suspension can be a little on the soft side for some when pushed hard. But for most and everyday spirited driving, I'd say they've tuned it perfectly. The front end on this all-wheel drive does push or has understeer, but that rear wheel bias really is evident, especially when you squeeze more power on to rotate that rear end. Lap after lap, the Stinger performed flawlessly. I really had a lot of fun with this Kia on the track. Maybe even a little too much fun. Nah, that's not possible. Well, it's time to pack it in. It's getting dark, but you know what? Kia has a slogan. It's called the power of surprise. And I can tell you right now, this Stinger surprised me in so many ways. It does so many things so well. It performs well, it's super comfortable, it's quiet, it's got luxury to it, and look at the style. We bumped into so many people that wanted to take pictures of this car and they couldn't believe this is a Kia. So Kia, good job. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up, and if you want to see more everyday reviews, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.